It's her. She's doing good.
My name is Ronnie Crisco. I am the chairman of the board of directors of SCAN. And protecting children from child abuse and neglect is the highest form of community service that I can think of. But the problem that we face, it's daunting and it's persistent. I want to talk about just a couple of numbers for you to digest. On average, every day in this country, 4 children die of abuse and neglect. 37% of adult women and more than 14% of adult men were abused when they were children. Of that group, at least a third will victimize their own child. Of the people who seek help at rehabilitation centers for drug abuse and alcohol abuse, 2/3 report that they were abused as children. In North Carolina, in the last 8 years, there have been more than 250 deaths of children at the hands of a caregiver. But what I'd really like to talk about is the fact that over that same period of time, here in our community, in Iredell County, because of the work that SCAN does, you know how many kids have died? 0. Zip. None.
I do want to tell you, each and every one of you, thank you so much, because it's people like you that help us, my terrific staff and volunteers, to do the work they do. Their work is so special, and you're going to get a first-hand taste of what they do in just a minute, because my staff and my volunteers they're in the business of making diamonds out of the coal that we find. I want to give you one of our diamonds. Her name is Gina.
Okay, breathe. I was in an abusive relationship that ended with the person overdosing and me finding him after it was too late. Me and my kids basically switched roles. They became the parent, I became the child. My son, who's the oldest of the two, was ready to drop out of school. His grades were awful, and our relationship became filled with resentment and anger. My daughter was caught in the middle of it, and she did the best she could, remain strong, stronger than any 6-year-old should ever have to be. I was on 8 or more different medications and could not function. I blacked out and had seizures from lack of the right medical care. And that's when DSS stepped in. At this point, my kids were placed with their paternal grandmother, and SCAN came into my life.
One summer day, her son came into the office, walked in from the street, and told me that DSS was making him move home. He didn't want to go home. His mother was addicted to drugs and she was abusive. I couldn't do anything other than say, find a lawyer. Several weeks later, I got a referral from DSS, and it was for his mom.
I was angry, hurt, confused. I didn't want their help. I didn't think I needed their help.
They lived in a 2-bedroom cramped apartment with no storage, so there was almost a partial wall with just boxes and crates and laundry piled high on the sofa. They weren't really talking to each other. They had learned not to trust each other, and everything was an argument. And eventually she let her son move in with his dad. When he came back for visits, he still fell into that role of being a parent, only she was growing into the role herself. So they had some pretty literal knockdown, drag-out fights. And I'd have to go back in and kind of debrief them and talk them through it and teach another way.
Things with my son were harder to fix. I had to prove to him that I was better and ready to change our relationship. His request to live with his dad was a major step for me, and I spoke with Lori many, many times about that. She was always patient and listened to all of my fears. I decided to let him. He needed that time to heal and to get to know me again slowly. 4 years ago, if somebody had asked me if I could do this, my answer would have been a strong no. Today I know I can, no matter what. No matter how big a problem there is always a way to solve it. And I know I can do it. Thank you, everyone from SCAN, especially Lori. Me and my family have been most blessed to have you in our life. That's all.
How'd you feel about seeing her tonight?
She's doing so good. It's her. She's doing good.